little,
Sorry.
that's okay. This was a great little pot of people, and I was around guys and gals, and we traveled all over the country in Aussie little country towns playing golf, and that's how I did it. And I always knew that, again, because I came from the inside out, I'd seen them on TV at the Nabisco Championship going around with the water and the green, very dramatic, because I love that world. And so that's what I said I'm going to do. I came home and told my parents, when I'm 21, I'm going to America. I'll see you later. And that's exactly what I did. So I was destined, and was very fortunate to be very talented in that world, because so many people don't make it. And I don't know, it was just one of those things I was able to do, and it went on to have this really very nice career.
Well, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think the ballet for earlier in your life probably was instrumental in that, because you have to have rhythm and balance and a gentleness that, you know, it's just like you said, I think you were destined, but I got to believe that that helps some.
Well, no, ballet actually is like golf. A golf swing looks very elegant and graceful. It is not. On the inside, it is extremely muscular, and it's very jumping. It's like people that learn to jump and speed. So we're looking at going 100 miles an hour through a golf ball. So you have to have explosive strength, and ballet is exactly how I learned to do that. It's so funny you say that. I'm so glad, Michelle, you picked that up, because on the diagonal, we would have to go on point across the room, and to stay on point, you know, that balance point is amazing. Same thing for skaters. So yes, there is no question that ballet is what gave me the fundamentals of balance, for sure.
Wow. Maybe my husband's really struggling with his game. I wonder how he would feel if I recommended ballet for him right now.
It's a tricky one, Michelle.
No, I don't think so. I would say pretty much that he'd be like, no. So where are you living now?
I live in Sun City, Arizona. I retired here, and I was only staying for a couple of years. I stayed here, and I ended up, after the tour, building a golf academy where we had the mental academy as well as the physical academy. So I've been very involved in understanding, because I'm also in recovery from addiction. So how does that all work together?
I just, side note, my parents lived in Sun City. It might have been Sun City West. I can't remember, but Arizona, just a beautiful place. Loved it. I always loved visiting. Mom never wanted to leave there. So I kind of know a little bit about where you live. And so tell us, so you talk about being recovered from addiction, which, you know, the moms in our group are moms of addicted loved ones. And so we're always looking for ways to heal from the trauma of trying to help our child, and knowing that we're just we just have to wait until they're ready. But for you, when did you realize that you had a substance use problem?
It's Sandy. Hi, Sandy. Don't know you, but saying hi. I think we all know that we have an issue, but some of it's deeper down, and it's having to dawn to us. And of course, when you're around other people that drink, you always put yourself, as you know, you go to the tribe that looks like you. So I went to the tribe that looked like me, right? And but I was blessed because I had this career that had demanded to pull the very best out of myself. That I began to notice that when I was drinking, I could not find my authentic self, and that's the field that I really work in. I couldn't find that fun pen anymore. And it was like, so it became very maddening. And it was as if I had a temperature in my head between this hot mess and this authentic pen going on for several years before. But, you know, you have that denial, you get mad, you get angry, you do all this stuff, but you don't know what to do. And then I've come out of such a big discipline. So it was like me hitting my head against a brick wall. And I was very, very unmanageable to the fact that parenting, anyone could not tell me what to do, because by God, that's what I was going to do. So I had a hell of a time. It began for me in my middle 20s. So, and I got sober, finally got sober in my early 30s. So it was a really hard fought fight. But I must say that I just had to put it this way. I knew I was messed up, but I knew when I hit a golf ball, I've learned everything from recovery in golf. So that's kind of the way I roll. so I knew when I played my very best, I was happy. I would just get in the zone and be joyful and go. But I wasn't going, I wasn't joyful, I was mad, and everyone was silly and stupid and not me. So I knew I was messed up. And I had people say to me, you know, why don't you, I had this very dear friend who's this beautiful artist, got me up against the wall and said, Penny, you need to go and get help. And that was the first day that I really recognized it. So it took a few more years, but I kept testing it in and out. I'd come in and out and in and out. But to finally, I was able to touch that internal, authentic side of me, the one that got me to America, that fun kid, that real Penn. And I walked into a bar, the last bar I walked into, and then all of a sudden everything stopped. Like it was like I had the moment. And for me, because I work so internally, it was very natural for me. I've been having these internal conversations since I was 8. And I was frozen there, and I looked down the bar, and there were all these beers there. And I used to love long neck beers. It was just quick to knock them down because I couldn't drink much because I was a lightweight. So they would last longer. And all of a sudden I heard, Penn, this is you for the rest of your life. This is you. Well, I became so hot all over, and so I finally could feel and hear what was being said to me. My whole body just, I turned around on a dime. I said, no, I'm done. And that was the last time. I walked out of there, and the next day I began the rest of my life. And why I do the work I do is because being split apart, an addict is split apart from their authentic self. And and drugs are so quick today to take over over for you, like you can be addicted in 3 days to Oxycontin. So it's just massively different. And then to refine that again. And and I've never wavered. I have never wavered. And I use that last time as my reminder that I can find home base. And I've used that moment in all of my affairs as I continue to recover is, no, that's not who I am. That was a bit long-winded. I told you, Michelle.
Oh, no.
Long-winded now.
No, I love that story because I could actually picture you walking into the bar and then having this like epiphany. And I've never heard anybody say how, you know, authentic, inauthentic, who do I really want to be? And, but in that moment, you make it sound easy, but I know that there were times after that you were probably triggered, as they say, or felt the pull, the need to drink again. And so did you always like bring yourself back to that moment, or what helped you get through?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Before you have an awakening like I had, I had reached that point where it would never no, I would automatically go and get the help. It's the in-between where the mums have their kids, where they're trying to find their authentic self, where everything goes in and out. Once you touch, as we all know, we're all given this gift of life. We all are given that. And sometimes we feel it's been taken away from us and some gremlin has taken over us. But when we seek and find that again, and we hear that no, you are loved, you feel safe and everything, then you go forward. I knew in that moment, I felt loved, I felt safe. And I knew, because I've been trying to get sober by myself, and not by myself within a group, but without putting myself in the story.
Oh,
and empowering myself again, because that's how I got from Australia. When you reach that point, Michelle, you're okay. Because when things do come up, I can remember one time I was like 17 years sober, and all of a sudden I went to the fridge and I opened the door and there was some wine left. My partner at the time had left some wine there, which I'd never cared about anymore. But all of a sudden it was like, oh, I could take that drink. As soon as it surfaced to my head, what I had just said, and in that moment that I had believed that for just that nanosecond, As soon as I saw it, my body actually felt like an iceberg cracking, and I fell to the floor into the fetal position. That's how much it had permeated, because, and I'll tell you why, I was so afraid. Of course, then I immediately called up a friend. And I said, you get your ass over here right now. But I also had enough time to realize that, and that was the last, one of the bigger ones, had to learn, you cannot stuff anything. You cannot stuff anything because it will bite you. And I have a life and death issue. So I don't want to die. So I do the work. It's pretty easy once you get to that point. You do the work that's required and ongoing for life. It's a way I look at recovery, whether it's like your mum's, and the arc of pain in that is beyond my pale, because I've never had children, but I have had many, many friends that have, and the arc of that pain, I will tell you, the arc of the pain for the addict to come to that realization, and the arc of the pain when the mums and the dads see that their child gets it, you never go back. You just never go back. It is, but both have to do the work. It's that internal drive of I am loved, and that seems so weird when you've been such a bloody idiot. You know, and you've just done the rottenest things, and you think you're all those things, but you're not. Because I love the word, I'm nearly done, I'm so sorry, but this is what helps me the most. I am not defined by my addiction. I am defined by who I am, and who I am is my authentic self. That addicted person is not me. And I always say that is not who I was. And then I can live with the fact that I've had this extremely checkered past. Fine, knock yourself out. That's not who I am now. That's not who I was then. That was just this maniac running around in my head caused by chemicals. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, wow. Do you think that when you first started drinking, and maybe you can't even answer this, I don't know, but were you not accepting of who you were and maybe looking for somebody else? Yeah. And no, you didn't think about it. So I noticed sometimes, like, my son is introverted. And so I know that he would say, well, when I use, I'm more confident. I'm able to be somebody different.
Yeah. Everyone is different.
Sure.
The bottom line is, mine was, and most of us have underlying issues as well. So nearly everyone is dual addicted, whatever it is. So I'm ADHD, I had panic attacks, I've had migraines, all I have gotten past through recovery, okay? So that's all of those things that I coach in, is how do you manage your focus? And I've taken all of those skills from golf and applied them into my addiction recovery world. So it's really fun, actually. But also, I know that I have more than addiction to deal with in order to maintain my happy space. So I really, you know, as we've grown in recovery world, and people are starting to realize that there's not a square box model. It has to be created especially for you. And people like me that have all kinds of stuff going on, I've had to reach back into how I did things before I started drinking. And I used up till 13, I started very young, but from 8 to 13, I was doing TV, doing all kinds of writing scripts, having myself a big time. I was a happy kid. So I went back in time to those areas to find out what I did. And then, of course, why can't I bring all of those lovely skill sets forward and apply them in when things get tough? But when things nothing is as tough. Nothing in my life is as tough as the day that I said, I am done, I am done, I am done. Because I had a higher purpose.
Yeah. Wow.
And therefore, since nothing can ever touch that, I had migraines and panic attacks for 8 years. I don't have them today. I've got systems. I do it all.
Wow.
I'm just an athlete, a mental and a physical athlete. And then, because I couldn't live with those things, it's like, I don't want to live that way, man. I got to think out of the box.
I think what I hear you saying too is, like, when I was trained by Jesse Harless, and he used to be an addict, but I've gone into the jails and said, hey guys, can you remember a time in your life where you overcame a hardship?
Exactly.
And let's think about that, and let's journal about that, and then we're going to talk about that. And so it taps into, when was a time where you were resilient? Now, what can you do with that? Like, what was it? And then can you bring that forward into your current life, because we know you have the skills, and so it's helping them remember that to move forward. So I just know, okay, so I didn't know that you were writing screenplays and things like that. So are the books behind, have you published some books too then?
I did my Focus, Determined Success book here. That's a part of what I do. That teaches you how, like in athletics, okay, don't forget now, I only speak from two places, my recovery and golf. So everything has to come out of golf, or it comes out of recovery. I tell it to all my friends. This book I wrote to begin with, this one, I'm not trying to flog I don't want to be doing that. I'm trying to.
No, but I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff in there. Yeah, Focus, Determined Success.
But it's very simple, because the thing about recovery is people want to talk plain language. If you go all highbrow with me trying to get sober, I'm going to say, right, Michelle, you're not talking in my language, right?
Right, yeah.
Yes, okay, so exactly. So I don't talk in that high, I've done all the research and all this stuff, but I don't talk that way. I talk very naturally and that.
Love it.
This book, right, this one is actually the 10 steps that I could get into peak performance or my highest self in 27 seconds. That's what you had to do to hit a golf ball. So over time, I went through the process and figured out what all those things were through the focus. And then I studied with Dr. Femi in focus and designed a whole focus program from his work, because I'm not that smart. And he just, every month I call him and say, I love you, Dr. Femi, you saved my life. And he just laughs at me. He says, okay.
Oh,
it's so lovely. It's so lovely. So I combine those things so that, again, you have a system to get fired up and ready to go. How do you motivate yourself to get to that place where I got to, where I said, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a process there, a mental, and I love in your work, because I knew if I shared that with you, because you're into the mind sciences. And of course we have to combine, right, Michelle? We have to combine. Yeah. So I thought that was so lovely that I read that on yours. And then we have to learn how to shift our perspective, shifting perspectives. Because here we are, we've ingrained in the addiction side of us, but how do we shift that perspective, right? And then so that when we have to diffuse all that useless side swipes of intention, get rid of that shit, all right?
Yeah.
And then how do you manage, so you have to learn that discipline. You forget, I've made it all like an athletic workout.
No, but I mean, people can relate to that, because it's and I think people like step by step. And so if they focus on like one and then the second and
go at the pace that they always stay, like, as we say, and we have to always feel safe. I can't move unless I feel safe. It's like I'm conversing with you. I did my research and I think, oh my God, she got written all these books. Oh my God.
Oh no.
And she's doing all this stuff and I'm just one itsy bitsy tiny
squeeze. No. Wait, I didn't have to overcome alcoholism. Like that to me, I just like this every day to anybody who has to,
it is no different. No, but darling, this is why I'm bowing to you. Mums and their babies and their children going out. It is no different. The pain that you guys have felt, that I felt for myself personally. So we are on the same pain journey. We're on the same thing, Michelle. I've walked in both sides of the world. I know the recovery world for those of addiction. I've had issues with that, but I haven't had a child. I can only imagine it has to be. When I realized the pain I had done to myself, I shivered. You shiver for your children, right, Michelle? Yeah. You shiver.
Yeah.
So we are a unitized group. We are unitized. My work is as quiet as your work is and gentle as it is for the addict trying to find their authentic self, as you are as a mom. And I can't be a coach, like, this is what you got to do. Like in golf, they say, Penny, you do 10 reps of this shit right now. Okay, coach. And we'd have to do it, right? We can't do that in our world. You can't say, do not go out to that bar.
Yeah.
We have to come in through the back door, right?
Yeah.
We have to be in their shoes. We have to inspire them to feel safe enough, right? Feel safe enough to open one bitsy tiny peeny bit that might able to for you, Michelle, to squeak in one bitsy thing that they can ponder to expand in their authentic self.
Yes. And finding that without going on and on and on and giving them the whole lecture thing.
And then we go, see my hand.
Yeah.
See my hand.
No, yeah. I get it. I do. Oh.
I know you do.
So wait, tell us a little bit about, I'm going to switch over to Life Ring, because I had never heard of Life Ring. And for those of you who know, so Penny, do you go by Pen, or I love that, by the way, or Penny?
It depends on how well you know me. I'm an Aussie. So we either shorten a word or lengthen a word. If you like me, you can call me Pen. Okay. If I don't know you yet, I'll just say Penny. But as you get to know me, it's like a heart lullaby. And it's how you say it too. It's like, hi, Pen. And I go, that's nice.
Hi, Pen. Okay.
Hi, Pen. And then we can roll, because I'm just pretty much a roller.
Okay. I love it. So, for those of you who don't know, I met Penny, because you don't know her, in training for experiential training, where we learn how to take people through a journey, but where they feel heard, seen, valued, affirmed. And like in our support meetings, it's so important for me to make sure that they feel that way, right? And so that I'm facilitating it that way. And so when I met you, we instantly connected because we have a similar audience. But you were talking about Life Ring, and you said you're a convener. Am I pronouncing that right? Mm-hmm. And I had never heard of that because I guess maybe it's a United States thing where I say a facilitator. I think there's a difference. But anyway, lifering.com is a place where people can go who want.
Lifering.org.
Oh, thank you. Lifering.org. I'm going to change that, I think, in my notes to lifering.org. And they can go there and feel safe. And tell us a little bit more about it and how you got connected.
I'll try and keep it short.
It's okay. We got time.
Renee, I love your smile, by the way. You have a great smile. And so do you, Michelle. You're just a little bright button too. And then Sandy, I don't know you, Sandy, but you have a bit of a laugh too. I love it. Yeah, little wave. I love it. Yeah, thank you, Renee. God, I had to get something out of you two girls. I'm telling you. So what was my question? Oh, yes, Life Ring. Well, I'm all into designing your own game plan for recovery, designing your own recovery game plan, and no one can do it better than yourself. But, you have to be encouraged to look around and say, no, this fits, this doesn't fit, and everything else. So the only programs that were being offered for the longest time was one way, and that just does not work, because we all have different skill sets and everything else. So I kind of walked away from that, but I've always done service work. I'm a service work girl. I love it. I love to give back. That's just been in my DNA all my life. And then I started missing I'm missing people to chat with in recovery. I just love it, right?
Yeah.
So a friend of mine I was talking to, I have lots of friends in the addiction world, and she says, oh, Pen, check out Life Ring. I give you the thing. I said, and she was like, I'm done with the other two. I said, all right, send it to me. I went lifering.org. I read the first few things when it says empowering. I'll read it straight to you. Empowering your sober self. I said, man, I'm in. So I got that book and read it. And then I went to a meeting, and it was what a convener does is we want everyone to be able to speak from where they are. So it's not, we don't do topic meetings or anything. It's like, how was your week? Basically, what we try and do immediately is the science of it is think back to last week, which starts when you start to spread the mind out, because we come out, addiction is like, to me, is a muscle that's tight.
Okay.
So we want to release that so we can have options, right? We need to figure out, and so we have to feel safe to do that. So LifeRing is about, A, we don't care if you never speak until you feel safe. So you don't have to speak, number one. Number two, it's a conversation. So you might start somewhere, someone talking to you, and you ask, as a convener, say, go around the room if you want to share, how was your week? How was last week? How's today? And is there something coming up in the future that you want to ask the group? Because we're all, none of us are professionals. Yes, I'm an addiction recovery coach, but not there. I'm in recovery too. And excuse me, I'm here too, baby. So you can all help me. Come on, bring it in. So that's what it is. And so what is so neat about that is because when we're like having a conversation, you have time to reflect on what people are saying. And then when you reflect, because you're only learning from reflection, you can then, something will bubble up inside of you and say, and then you'll share back to that person or that there. So now you're practicing coming from your authentic self, and it's a flow. And I like to do women's meeting. I do one on in the rooms. I was the one that started that because LifeRing has to get known. So it's a much more relaxed approach, and we don't have, yes, like any fantastic recovery program, we have a workbook, and it goes through the 10 phases of your body and stuff like that. And then, but it's, the rest of it is really, and we have ways to get through, you know, we have some systems out of that book, but the rest of it is really conversation. So because of that, and we keep it secular, not that people, oh, who is the author? Yes, it is Martin Nicholas. Martin Nicholas. And he's was an attorney. He was the one that wrote all 3 books. He's a brilliant man. I've just done a series of interviews with him, and I want to do more. So, a very understated man.
Was he the one who kind of designed, was he the person who launched lifering.org?
Yes, he wrote all the books, but there were about, I just did all the elders because no one had done any recording of these elders. I said, I got to get these elders. And so I had all the elders together, and between them all, Martin did all the writing. He's an attorney, very, very brilliant man, and he could organize it. You know, that's what he can do. And they took it into Kaiser, and took him years to get their first LifeRing meeting there in San Francisco. It's out of San Francisco.
Okay.
And these elders went out in shoe leather and got people to come. This is 20 years ago. It's only been around about 25 years, I think. And to get people to come. So it's bigger in San Francisco, but when the pandemic happened, we blew out the water. So we running out of conveners because everyone got the hang that they really liked LifeRing because it's empowering you and listening and yeah. So it's really, so I like it because it can be as tight. It has incredible fundamentals, but it is because I believe, you know, as we all do, we've got to have a few of those. Yes. Otherwise the bloody house falls over. And yet we do it in a gentle way and the biggest thing for me in my LifeRing meetings that I do a women's meeting and I do in the rooms meeting, all I do is I make them feel safe. So, and to ask so that they feel safe enough to come on and share from their precious internal space. And when that happens, I'm lucky I don't cry, but I roll with it and we conversation it, and I'm crying right now. But at the end, I know that's a healing, and I know that space because I had it. And that's really what when addiction person to another addiction person can do. And that's where a mom to the son and the daughter, whatever. But to get them to that space, they have to feel safe, but they have to know they are loved inside. It's a very tricky space. And my friend, who has like 7 kids. Her one son just died from addiction. All the boys are addiction were, and her daughter was not. He just died about 3 months ago. And, but you know, he loved his mother. He was a good man. He loved her, but he couldn't do it. But she knew that.
Right.
But he loved her, and there is a bond there. Sometimes addiction takes over, right? You can explain it better than I can. I just know that we all wept, but we were all happy for him that he'd gone in peace.
Yeah.
But he didn't lose his heart. His addiction might have taken his body.
His relationship with his mother, which is so important, or maybe hopefully the rest of his family, because sometimes, you know, I think moms misunderstand not enabling as tough love, where they just detach and just kind of disown, and that's not what they need. And but I understand why it happens, because it's tough.
So tricky. You're in a very tricky biz.
Sure.
Tricky.
So backing up a minute, you said you're also a recovery coach. So like if moms who are listening have a daughter who maybe recovered for a while and just feels like she needs a coach because she wants more in her life. And I'm speaking about that because, well, my son was a year into recovery and I could tell that he was losing hope. And he was still so stuck in the system and not being able to get out. And it wasn't that he wasn't trying. And I asked the question, can I make a suggestion? And, you know, he said, yeah. And I said, would you be open to working with a coach, and not necessarily even like a recovery coach as much as like a life coach, like, okay, I'm sober, now what? Right. And so, he's like, well, oh gosh, that sounds great. And at the time I had nobody in mind. Like I just know that I've hired coaches for myself to get me from one place to another. And, you know, just because I thought it was healthy and because I could. And so I said, well, I don't really have anybody in mind, but I can find one. I think I can find one. And so I went out, and that's how I found Jesse Harless. And it just was a God thing. I mean, it was just bizarre how I kind of, and then he had to interview him. So it wasn't immediate. It was like, well, let me meet him first and see if there's a connection, because, you know, you don't want somebody to suck the lifeblood out of you. And so that's important. But so long-winded question. So if there's moms, are you that type of a coach where you can help women, and how, and at what point in the recovery?
I do it a lot. People find me because they like what they hear or whatever, and I'm about supporting them to find their voice again, and to go do the work that's whatever is required. Really, the biggest issue is how do you negotiate with your hot mess and your authentic self? That's a big one. And addicts, you know, have a lot of shame and all of those types of issues. So we just find the starting point, and when they're safe, and we do the work. And it doesn't, and of course, you know, it's always good. I think it's a dual thing. I think it's one, there's a place, I truly believe, a place for a recovery addiction coach, because we can do a lot of work in a fairly, you know, in a 3-month period that might take 2 or 3 years if you were just going to a meeting. And that's a fact. But I also say that if you don't keep going to other spaces to conversation, so that you can hear it from other people, you know, and find things. I think it's that dual road that you have to do. I think there's a place for both. But I find that it's very difficult because they're used to just putting $1 in the bowl. They don't get that this is a real job. And as a recovery addiction coach, I was paid by companies to go do that work. So it's a funny world we live in recovery.
Wow. So do you wait until should they've been sober for a period of time before you work with them? Or do you say, you could have used yesterday, but if today you want to quit, I'll work with you?
Yeah, everyone is different. And so we just start. If they want to start, you always start. If you don't wait for them to say, well, let me think about it. If you want to start, okay, let's just start right now if you want.
Right.
Yeah, we gotta go when the fire is hot, right? And then very quickly, I think we start, and then very quickly we like from motivational interviewing, we have to find that safety. If we can land the safety, we got a spot to go in. And then it's more about, for me, is getting them where they are, helping them to stabilize that thing, and then taking a break, and then coming back, learning. The bottom line is they have to learn when they need to ask for help, and you have to practice that with them. And I am not, I think if anything, I will sign someone up for the first time for like 4 or 5 sessions and see where we are, and 4 sessions, and then if it's getting too much after the second one, we relax on it, So okay. It's very, I wish
individualized.
The recovery addiction was like in a straight line. There is no straight line.
Yeah. And
right?
Yeah. And everybody's different, just like everybody has different personality types. And that's the one thing that I've learned, like over and over and over. There's no clear cut one way. And I can say for moms of addicted loved ones, we all search for that one, like, reason or fix. Like there's got to be something I'm missing. Like this can't be that complicated. Like I've got to figure this out, right? Like what's the magic bullet? And unfortunately, there isn't. And
the magic bullet is, to me, is listening to your authentic self, finding that space. It all starts from there. And that's all the work I do. The main work that I do is getting into that place where they can be teachable to themselves. You have to become teachable to yourself again. And I think the gift was having been a player and being coached for many years, and then becoming a coach. So I've either been the one being coached, and I've had coaches and everything in my life. I'm like you, Michelle, give me another coach. I like it. Because I like to bounce stuff off from people that have studied, and it shortens my amount of time that I'm in pain. And so I've had great coaches, I've had rotten coaches. And I find that coaching is coaching. Doesn't matter what field. If I'm in athletics, I work with top world champions, to actors. I work with actors. I work with, it doesn't matter. I work with people. It all comes down to, how do I access me? And that is what my main focus is there. Because if I can help you to get there, then you can decide where you want to go for the next, a different, what's missing that maybe I don't have that prowess in, that I can say, you need to go and see Michelle, you need to go and see someone else or something like that. But I'm the one that is fascinated, because if you think about it, every 5 minutes is a golf. I'm back to my golf story again.
I love it.
Every 5 minutes, you walk for 10 minutes and you come to another golf shot. I had to get in peak performance. I was 20 yards away from my shot. I would have to begin to get into that space of very spaciousness and being present to everything around me, because I had to play with what was there, whether it was wind, rain, water, or just my own crazy head. And so I had to be able to let it all go and become what I believed. Become what I believed. Powerful. And so that is what this book does in 10 steps. It is so powerful because I think it is. I did it for 20 years.
Okay, so you were a world champion though for...
Yes, top 10 in the world. So I know this world. This is the world I know, because it doesn't matter if I'm talking to elite athletes. It doesn't matter if I'm talking to people in long-term recovery. Some people in long-term recovery are rote dead dogs. They're just dead. They're dogs. They're dead. They're just rote. I don't deal with it. Okay, you got that. I'm done with that. So sorry. Or because life on life's terms is always changing, how are we adapting? It's like a golf course. One day it's windy, next day it's nice. I have to be a pliable little animal to do that. And in order to do that, I got to know how to manage my focus. How do I empower me? What's my other one? Fired up, ready to go, I say, and then manage my heart matters. Because if I don't know, and a lot of the management of that all comes from the desert fathers and mothers back 3,000 years ago. So I'm not saying I know this is, none of this I know I pulled out of my own little pea head. I've read so many things, but in the end, I always say this in athletics. If you can't say it in 1 or 2 words, you ain't getting it. You ain't getting it. And the job of great coaching, and like all the books you've written, I was like, I cannot talk to this woman. She's done too much stuff. One baby book, that's enough. I've done.
No.
And a little workbook of, and my focus book is all pictures.
Oh.
They're all right.
I love it. I'm very visual. That's
2 sentences. And then I gab. That puts it all into perspective then. And then they gab back to me. So I don't know. I lost my bloody train of thought. So,
no, it's okay. Yeah. So, wow. I love it. Okay. So,
Renee, you make me laugh, man.
Yeah. We call it, she goes by her middle name and her first name is Lucretia. So, well, let me open it up to Lucretia and Sandy, because they actually showed up, filled up here with, I'm sure, some questions. So yay. So,
yeah, man.
do either of you women have any questions for Penn here, for our friend Penn?
I have one. Michelle does a Wednesday wins, and so moms get on there and talk about what's gone well, and she encourages us to think about what can be and what should be for our lives. And I've noticed that quite a few moms, when we ask, like, what did you ask, Michelle? What do you want to accomplish, or what do you want to do?
What's one thing you haven't done that you want to do? And yeah, go
right.
ahead. Or something.
And so I notice a lot of moms really struggle with that, because we don't even know who we are. We've spent 10 years trying to figure out our kids, that we've lost track of ourselves in a lot of cases. And so what's the first step to finding our authentic self? Because, you know, for me, I just retired. So I had my whole persona was being a mom and being a teacher. And like, here I am, like, well, who am I now? And so where do we get started with that?
Good question.
Oh, it's so damn deep. I think I'll get a few gray hairs trying to figure that out.
Amen.
No pressure. No pressure. But I mean, really, if you look at your book and in the 10 steps, I would think that, you know, go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, it's like when I left the tour, I left I couldn't talk about my world anymore. You can't, you know, you leave you've been working for so long and you retire. It's just like, well, what the hell happened here?
Right.
It takes time. I think the one thing that I would say is silence. And if it's not scary to you, I don't know how much silence you've done. And learning how to do silence. It took me many years to be able to be in nothing. I have to let go of everything I think I am, that I've been well practiced in. You know, letting go of being a golfer. I still can't. but it's a different way. I use golf differently today. So I think it's just the process. There's no way. Patterns are patterns are patterns. Patterns to break patterns from a science space. You have to change your thinking, change your beliefs. It's the same stuff we use in addiction recovery. You go through the same pathway. It's time, it's sitting, walking, and then when you can expand your mind to go, I don't have to have an answer. I can explore. This is what I do with myself. I can explore. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Yeah. And at first that like scares the poops out of you. You go, oh my God. Yeah. Right, Sandy? But as you float around, and the pandemic was fantastic for me. It was like, I'm done with everything I've done. I can't stand it. Can't do it. I don't know what I'm going to do now. And it was about getting authentic again to ask myself, and I got rid of some stuff in my person that I didn't like anymore. I did lots and lots of work in the last year, actually. And then I got really sick. And that was really helpful because it shut my brain down for a while. But I think so basically what I'm saying, Sandy, my love, is first of all, hug for retiring. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And 2 is, who am I today with all this pain, and how has it changed me, and what do I like about it, and what do I like about it? You have to go through the same process as we all do, in asking ourselves, who am I today? What do I do? I spend so much more time in things, because I got silent, to be able to see things. It gave me space to shift. So I think that's the part where you'd have to start, I think, is what I'm hearing you say, is making some space to shift and taking a breath. I'm just getting to where you are. Sorry, it was long-winded. And just sit in that. And then let it discover yourself. And because we're so used to thinking we have to have a bloody answer, and we got to work, we did this, my kid, I'm trying to figure all that shit out. And then it's like, I don't have any answers right now.
I love the one word you said, explore, too, because sometimes we can be good at something and we don't even know we are until we walk in that space. So like when I first started doing what I'm doing, I was so, and these women know that. I mean, for a long time, I kept saying, well, I'm going to expand to a membership, and we're going to have like these perks in it, and we're going to heal together. And I'd never done it before. And I was like, and then one of the first months of support meetings, we had a mom, and she'll listen to this later, and she'll know it's her. And I was overcome with anxiety. And I thought, what am I doing? I can't do this. Her son's going to die. Oh my gosh, I can't help her. Like, oh my gosh. And I just couldn't breathe. And so I had to have a friend talk me off the wall and ask me a lot of questions about what was it that I thought I didn't measure up? Was it that I thought I was strictly responsible? And so once I went through it, and I reached out to this mom and I said, here's the thing. I just was authentic, like you said. And I said, I'm worried about you, and I don't know you well. Do you have a therapist? Because I didn't want her only coming to me thinking that I was going to solve everything and give her the wrong advice, even though that's not my intention. You can inadvertently say something. And so once I knew she was okay, I could breathe, that she wasn't coming to me, that I didn't have to be everything to her. Then I was okay with where I was at. But even doing what I'm doing now, I've never done it before. So how do you even know if you're going to like it, if you're going to be good at it, if you're going to change lives because of it? And so I think it's just exploring different things. I like that you said that. But for me, being quiet, that's a real challenge. So I need
that was fabulous. Which just, what came to me again, Sandy, I know we're going to let you gab here a second, but I got to just flip it right in there. So, Michelle, that was fabulous. Oh. And then I was, as you were talking, Michelle, I was thinking of you, Sandy, at the same time. And Michelle, I'd like feedback from you and Sandy. Is, to me, having to be spacious and not have an answer.
Yeah.
And let it be, and have nothing in my mind, and just let it be. So that in the whispering in the night, when I let it go, the whisper may come 1 or 2 days later, a dawning to see a different perspective.
Yep. Exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. I thought, okay, here's the best part. I don't have to do anything right now in this moment. Well, I did, to be my authentic self, I did have to reach out to her because I was concerned, right? Yeah. But once I realized that, it's not my job. I'm not God here, and God doesn't expect me to, you know what I mean? So I was like, awesome, I can do this. But, and so we become very close in our group of moms in the membership. So it's happening. But Lucretia, did you have any questions? I want to give her, no? Okay.
One thing, if Lucretia doesn't have anything, that I'm feeling is that everybody is asking me what my goals are. Like, I'm in Noom and losing weight, and so they want me to set all these goals, and I'm feeling like and I've, for 42 years in my career, I was the top goal setter. Like that was who I was. And now I just want space to figure it out. And so thank you for giving me the permission to do that, because I've been feeling like, I don't want to set goals. Like that's probably a really important part of my personality. But right now I just need to be, because I'm in a whole different space. So thank you for that.
That's lovely.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the goal, is to not have a goal because, you know, you're just at a point in your life where maybe it's too overwhelming, and that's okay.
But I've just been feeling anxious about that. You know, I've been feeling anxious because what is my next thing? Well, my next thing is to enjoy this moment and to enjoy this day, and try not to stress about Ryan, and know that God's got this. Like that's what my goal is. Like maybe that I never named that as a goal.
Yeah. And it's
well, I agree, Sandy. I do, because, you know, as moms, we go all the time. We wear so many different hats, and it is sometimes a real struggle for us to breathe, to change gears, to rest, you know, because God made us so unique and so complicated, and so, you know, we just have a lot going on in this brain, and it's hard for us to shut down. And when you add an addicted loved one to that, you know, and the fears and the worries and just let God have it. And okay, well, I'm trying, Lord, you have to help me in my unbelief, you know, is what we've always heard. And it's so hard for us, and it's okay. It's okay to rest. It truly is okay, but we have to get our minds there also, because the answers don't come just immediately, you know. And when we shift to retirement or we shift to another job, it just takes time. And that's one thing that I've learned, you know, raising 7 children and a couple of different businesses, and switching, and grandkids, and being sick, and moving my parents. I mean, it's just life, you know. And so you just have to switch like a radio station all the time. But moving for me, it was like I sold my house after raising the kids, just almost running away from that area to find rest, downsizing. I had my list of the things that I wanted. So after 40 something years, I'm back in a 2-bedroom apartment, but it has a resort pool. Yay. You know, so that was one of my peaceful places. I knew that I needed to be unencumbered, and I knew that I had to switch drastically in my life for my brain and my heart, for my self-care, to heal. And that has been happening over the last year, but there's been many times where I've had to say, it's okay, just rest, just chill. Don't have anything on today's calendar except a Zoom call or coaching with somebody else, and that's it. I'm not cooking, I'm not cleaning, I'm not doing anything. Okay, so and it's okay to do that. And I would tell my husband, I'm off today. You know, I'm just off today. Today is my day. Or, you know, and I have to treat myself. I'm going to get my hair done. I'm going to have a massage. I'm going to go shopping. So I have to be good to myself, and that's a big thing, Michelle, and Cindy, you know, that self-care is where I have been focused. And it's not selfish. I've had to tell myself, I'm not being selfish.
Yeah.
And I've had to pray and just, okay, God, is this okay? Is this the next step?
Yeah.
But I find myself life coaching myself.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, and I think I sort of alluded to this in our last call, Michelle, because I feel like God is pressing me on to do something else, to take some other courses or some other educational something to promote myself. But I never thought that I would be a speaker or a life coach for these type of women. You understand? I never thought that I would be helping these women with these issues and these problems. But that's where we have been led to because of our addicted loved one. So yeah, God's sort of thrown a different wrench in there, but I'm going with it. So I don't know, I've thought about John Maxwell, I've thought about, but as far as recovery goes, I think I need to go that direction. You see what I'm saying? To build onto what I already have.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
I'm going to shut up now.
It's something you know. It's something that you have realized since we started, since you started ministering in this group since February. You're seeing how just by going, you have the experience. You don't need an MBA, you don't need a bachelor's degree to have the experience to talk to another mom because you've been there.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Penn doesn't know this, but Lucretia's son was in prison for 2 years and just got out. And so like so many moms, myself, when my son was in jail, you're like, oh my gosh, jail, he's going to be raped. This is going to happen and that's going to happen because we've never been there. We see things on TV and I'm like, oh my goodness, you could totally just step in.
I'm going, just breathe, take a breath.
Just walk alongside those moms to say, and that is a space that's a very niche-y space that you have plenty of experience with. You know what I mean? So when Lucretia was sharing how she wanted to maybe go back to school, I, as a coach, I just ask a bazillion questions and I'm like, well, what is it that you think your education, I'm not undermining a college education at all.
Right.
But are you sure that are you just trying to validate that you are enough to do what you need to do in this place? Because
I think so, but I've always been, I'm a big reader, but I've always been just getting more knowledge. I like to research and get all the information that I can about a subject. And it's to the point where it's sort of obsessive, because I'll call anybody and everybody and I'll talk to them and I want a list and I want this and I want that. That way I have the information to process and to make great decisions. That's just how I work.
Can I just say one thing here?
Yeah.
I just need to, is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
I want it.
Okay. I'm going to step into water. I'm just going to go with it because I trust the girls. Okay. We're in a little trusty space here. Okay. I'm a pretty big deal meditator in my own personal way. Okay. Have been since I was 8 years old. So I've had that life. One of the things I've learned is, and when you were saying that, Renee, because I've just been listening to Renee's heart. Then I heard about Renee and Michelle, I think hit a bit on the head, trying to make sure you got enough bloody intelligence. So, but in the world that we women are in, it is an internal spiritual space, right?
Mm-hmm.
We as human beings think if we go read more, do more, blah, 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 we'll be smarter. We don't need to be smarter. We have to be more intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
We have to listen from, and the only language that we know, okay, I'm sticking my foot in again, the only language is love.
Mm-hmm.
Only language is love. So when I sit in why do I do recovery? And I don't even think, it's so stupid to say coaching. It is recovery listening. It is recovery, the gift of being able to be in that pain, to express a moment and then to come out. But where the work is all the information you have. Which piece, this is what makes a great coach to me, which piece feels appropriate in this moment? And your heart will pull that out of what you've even forgotten. And there it is. The research is not, it is for your pleasure. So that in that moment, of intensity of listening, and you're in that river with them, like I am on the golf course. I'm in the river, to close my eyes to be in the river. And I'm hearing that. And all of a sudden, I'm spacious enough to pluck something out of those 35 years of training and all that golf. And I just, some little perk thing pops out there, and they get the aha.
Right.
Right. We are not leading. We are not brainwaves. Like I said, I am not a brainwave. I am a woman, and I love what Michelle said. We have walked this path. You have a heart. You have raised 7 children. God love you. Kiss, hug right there. Well,
there's more to that story too.
So all those lessons in silence will come to you. And then you design, just like Michelle and I have designed, I know where I fit. I fit in the very early grunt stuff, which is finding your authentic self and how to manage your authentic self in your hot mess, and how to develop your ability to move your ass when you get the drive, and how to keep that. That's my world. I don't go anywhere else. That's it. And that's in the slogger. But that's my passion, right? And so I did, and I'm sciencey. So I have my science books. I have all these things, and I've done all this, and I have neurofeedback, and I have all that stuff. I got it all. But that's the world I play in. Nowhere else. And my life as a recovered woman, and my life as an addict, right? So again, I come back to, we are women of a spiritual nature that requires silence, zip the lip, be open, go for walks, what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done now.
I love it.
That has all helped me tremendously, and I hear what you're saying, and I really appreciate that. And one of the things that came to me was inspiring, and that's part of my business cards that I'm making up. It's part of just inspiring women, to do what they need to do in that self-care, and what we have been doing. And I don't know, I just seem to pull that more out. Maybe it's because we've been together for a little while, and we hear all these other ladies that are coming in, and they're on the front end, and I feel like that we're sort of on, not the back end, because we know that things can change, in a minute, any day. Okay. And we'll be back here.
Stronger.
So,
we're
we're getting stronger. So I just want to encourage and to inspire, but I'm thinking, yes, that does come from my heart, and, been there, done that. And sometimes I don't know what to say, but then it just comes. It just comes out. And then do you ever go, oh, wow, where'd that come from? Well, it was up there somewhere, it was up there somewhere. And then you go, oh, that sounded really good.
That's a spiritual conversation. Look at how we're all talking now. We're feeding off each other. We're feeding off each other's delights. And that's what it's about. And we have a lot that we can pull from our heart if we're silent.
Yeah.
Right. But I'll say but I don't want to stop learning, And so I'm at that point where I can pull something else from this test or this book or this course.
What can I learn from this? Yeah.
Something. Yeah. What can I learn from it? And how can I forward that on, pay that forward? So I think that's where my heart is right now.
Well,
because with everything else that I have going on,
we need to have Penny back, because I want her to help improve my golf game. So we didn't even get on that topic yet, but I live on a golf course. So I try to go out and putt with my husband in the evenings when nobody's out there. We have these little contests because we're so competitive. But anyway, well, Penny, I thank you so much for being with us today. And I hope that, you know, you'll come back again. And if somebody wants to find you, where do they find you? Is it pennypulz.com?
Yeah, pennypulz.com. And it's just, yes, there they can send an email to me and I can get a hold of them there. And I've just kept it very simple because I just want to do it that way.
Sure. Yeah. No, because yeah, and it works.
And this is lovely. I thank you so much for inviting me, Michelle, today. And thank you for Renee and Sandy and for making me feel so safe so that I could truly share just being Penn. That's lovely. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have met you ladies and to have had this lovely conversation, Michelle.
And one other question too is, so if they go to lifering.org, how do they know, how do they get into your meetings? Like,
yes, they can send me an email. What we do is, because it's a women's meeting on the Fridays at noon Pacific at the Life Ring meeting there, they have to send me an email because it's a closed meeting, only those people with that Zoom thing, because a lot of women are not safe. So that's a safety thing. So if you go to lifering.org, you go to Fridays and you'll see Penny's meeting. And then that sends an email to me, and then I send you an email back with, and we have a little conversation, you know, just to chat and make sure you're okay. And then you can come to that meeting, or you can just send me an email at penny@pennypulz.com.
And do you think that moms of addicted loved ones could benefit from attending your meetings? Even because one of the things I recommend they do is talk to a recovering person, because they can learn a lot from them. But do you welcome them into your meeting?
Yes, we do. I do, especially because I live on both. I've been in both sides of the street, so I'm very familiar with both subjects, but not as familiar as addiction. But yes, we live in a recovery household, so yeah, I understand it. Yes, I think it's great. LifeRing does not have a program especially for families. It's very young. We do not have the maturity of women and men that can establish that at this time, but I'm sure it will come in time. It's just the people that are trying to do it, we have to make sure that we can have it, you know, it's spoken from the other side.
Sure.
Trying to shift two things together. So that's in process.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Definitely, I'd love to have any women come, and they just fit right in because it's the same pain. It's a different way.
Thank you. Yes, it is. Okay.
Right. So, thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a blessed day, and we'll talk again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you